Baylor at Brigham Young. If Brigham Young wins this game, my vow to you, I will use the acronym abbreviated version to describe the school. It has been well-founded. I have trouble pronouncing the Y, and therefore I call them Brigham Young. But if you win the game, you have earned the right to make me look foolish. This is big for Baylor. I think it's massive for Brigham Young, though. This is an opportunity for a team that is headed to the Big 12 to compare themselves more favorably against Big 12 opposition than they did last year. Last year, they lost this game 38-24. I normally don't use the rearview mirror. I don't care how often you've played. I care what this year's game is going to be. But because of the way last year's game played out, and you're looking at kind of the box score here, if you're listening on a podcast, I'll tell you what I'm focused on more in a second. But because of all that, this is a really big game, and it's one of the first of a number of spotlight games, national spotlight games for Brigham Young this year that they have to showcase their program and to measure themselves against big-time competition. They've got Oregon in a couple of weeks. They got Arkansas coming there later in the year. So Baylor and Arkansas coming in there. Yeah, look at that schedule. They go to Stanford. Hey, did we give Utah Tech the late kick logo? Do we not have a Utah Tech logo? The first thing I told Jesse when he started here is don't embarrass me. The second thing I told him is get me a Utah Tech logo. And he's 1 for 1 at best. At best. Paper pop. Okay, let's talk about this game. As I said, I do not go back to last year a lot, except I'm about to go back to last year. Because there's one key factor that went heavily. If we're looking at an electoral map, this part would have gone heavily in Baylor's direction. The old rushing offense statistics rear their ugly head in our review of last year's game film. Now, if you're following this game closely, I think you've heard this recited ad nauseum this week. 303 yards on the ground for Baylor in this game last year on 47 carries. Stats and Info tells me that is 6.4 yards per carry. That, friends, is a padlock stat. And if you were to promise me that they're going to put up similar numbers, I would say that's a soft padlock stat. I would say we pretty well know who's going to win this game. It was 31-14 at the end of 3. 38-24 was the final score. Both teams really good on the line of scrimmage. They were good last year. They're good this year. I think Baylor has improved at quarterback with Blake Shapen, which leads me to my next point. Jaron Hall, quarterback for Brigham Young, rightfully will get a majority of the spotlight in this game. I think if we were to go back and do our Step Up Saturday segment and I added another name, Blake Shapen could be another name. Because while quarterbacks are never on the field at the same time, if you have future NFL aspirations, you already know a bunch of those scouting eyes are going to be on this game and probably in person at this game because they know Jaron Hall will face one of, if not the toughest defensive tests all year in facing Baylor. Well, you may get the added benefit of seeing a guy in Blake Shapen here that you're not talking a whole lot about yet, but you may be talking about down the road. So it's big for him, but it's also big in that we're sitting here focusing on Baylor being able to run the ball like they did last year. Imagine the opportunities due to the focus Brigham Young's got to pay to that run game that Blake Shapen's going to have. Who's going to throw the ball to? I don't know. This is the kind of game you establish wide receiver talent in. So it's a big game for both quarterbacks, and I don't necessarily think that a lot of the shine is going to be on Baylor's guy, but I think at the end of the night it could be. Let's take a look at what the line is, and let's take a look at what the model thinks. This is the one that I think we're differing on a little bit more, and I'm differing even more than the model differs. So Brigham Young right now is a 3-point favorite. There are some 3.5s out there. It's consensus 3, and Caesars has it at 3. The model here only has Brigham Young -1. And that is without factoring in the uncertainty at the wide receiver position. Like Puka Nacua, I don't know if he's going to play. They don't know if he's going to play. Gunnar Romney, don't know if he's going to play. I tend to lean Baylor winning this game outright. Now, there is a rumor going around Provo, which is not true, that I don't like Brigham Young. I dress exactly like you guys do. I don't know where in the world that comes from. Got nothing but love for you guys, which is why I'm promising you. If you end up winning this game, you will hear me fail miserably in trying to pronounce the letters in acronym style that make up Brigham Young University. It's going to be bad, but that's better than any trophy you could ever play for, I think. So we're going to take Baylor to win outright. We're going to take Baylor plus the points. We're not done talking about that game for, I think, what are obvious reasons, but if they're not obvious enough, they will be in a second. That is a 10:15 Eastern time kick on ESPN. Normally, you're used to some leftover Mountain West nonsense. We don't call it nonsense, but some of you may. Nope, you get a premier game as late as 10:15 on the East Coast. Guys, thanks for watching Late Kick. Make sure and leave a comment. I love interacting with you. But most of all, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. That's how we keep all of this free.